Hi. I know I'm early, but because I was late last time, I just want to make sure that I wasn't late this time and that I actually have done it correctly. Because I found out last week that with YouTube, there's a certain thing you're supposed to do to go live, and that is turn the camera on, which I had been doing all along by hitting a button, but I didn't know I was hitting the right button till last week. So now I know how to do it, and I think I'm cool. So let me just start with introducing myself. Welcome to 60 and Ready to Chat. My name is Ann Johnson. Are you all ready to chat? I hope so. We're going to start off today, if we could, with just telling me who you are. Where are you from? So if you could put in the chat where you're from. It could be state, it could be country, parish, county, whichever you want. So just let me know where you're from. And if you don't, that's okay too. We'll just get started. The topic tonight is being clueless at 30 as opposed to what we are now. And I want to start with just talking about what we thought about our bodies back then as opposed to now. I mean, at 30, if you slept wrong and you woke up the next morning, you might have a crick in your neck, but no big deal. In midlife, you sleep wrong and suddenly you wake up and you're grabbing for the ibuprofen and maybe making an appointment with the chiropractor. Hi, Marie. How you doing? Marie, where are you from? And I want to ask you, when we were 30, we didn't really, Columbus, Ohio. Welcome. When we were 30, we didn't really exercise with intention, did we? We didn't exercise with intention. In fact, who out there exercised at all at 30? And I can tell you, while I'm waiting for you to answer, that I rode horses, but I didn't consider that exercise. I didn't exercise with intention. I didn't mean to work my body. Now, when I exercise, it's with intention. And I make it a point to go to the gym 3, maybe 4 times a week if I can, pretty much every other day. So it just kind of works out to that. Now, having said that, I don't always do it, but I'm pretty good about getting there at least twice, even if I don't get there 3 or 4. You know how it is. Life gets in the way of life, and that's okay. And you remember, I don't know if we have any drinkers out there of adult beverages. I used to imbibe once in a while. Do you remember those hangovers that lasted half a day when you were 30, that last 3 days when you got older? You thought to yourself after 3 days, why did I drink that champagne that New Year's Eve? That's a big difference between 30 and now. So we were clueless at 30 that we would need to exercise that with intention. And one thing that we learned as we aged was sleep. Sleep is not laziness, it's maintenance. And we didn't know that when we were in our 30s. We just jumped up and went, stayed up late hours, got up early for work, and that was our routine. Of course, now with menopause, it's if you can get a night's sleep, you're lucky, right? And but it's maintenance now. It's not laziness. When you can sleep, it's maintenance. Another thing when we were 30 and Clueless, we poo-pooed sunscreen. Do you remember going to the pool or the beach and you put the baby oil on yourself so that you could get a deeper tan? Are you kidding me? That was Clueless. I apologize to every dermatologist I laughed at for telling me I needed sunscreen because I would get so burnt on my chest and now it looks like leather. So when that was another thing we were clueless of that we've learned about today. When we were 30, we were always performing for other people. We were not putting on an act, but we looked for the house. We wanted the big house. We wanted the perfect relationship. We wanted the perfect children, the big car. We wanted all these things to not so much, I guess we did want to show off a little bit for the Joneses, but because we thought we needed to have them. We were on this stage and we were performing. But when it comes down to it, the people who you're performing for or were performing for were not your audience. You're not your audience now. And I think when you get into midlife, you understand that. You don't worry about what other people think. Let me give an example. My aunt, my mom's sister, had her fingernails started falling out. I mean, I'm laughing, but that's bad. And it turned out when she finally went to the doctor, which if my fingernails fell out, I'd go to the doctor right away. But when she finally went to the doctor, she found out she had a fungus. But when she came to visit, her fingernails had fallen out and she had them painted, her fingers painted where the nails should have been. And we're like, my mom and I are like, why did you paint your fingers? Because when my nails fell out, I go, okay, I'm going back to why did you paint your fingers? She said, because people will look at it and see them and judge me. I said, Aunt, there's no way anyone cares about your fingers. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. And if someone does ask and you tell them, I have a fungus, I have this, I have that, whatever it turns out to be, they're going to go, oh, okay, well, that's too bad. I had a fungus once, and move on with the conversation. Nobody really cares. And you know what the thing about that, when you finally get that a 30-year-old doesn't get, that we do in midlife, is when you don't perform or care anymore, it is so liberating. It's liberating. You don't have to put on the fake mask anymore. You can just move forward and enjoy your life. Enjoy what you want to do. And think about it. Good thing there was no social media back then, so we didn't have to worry about what somebody was having for brunch. Let me ask you a question. Who did you dress for when you were 30? Did you dress for someone when you were 30 to perform? I know I did. I dressed for myself some circumstances, but I wanted to look up to date and in style, and I didn't want to look odd. I remember thinking that I got to wear something like this so I'll fit in. And I don't mean fit in like a cookie cutter, but I mean like not stand out. I don't care now. I wear just about anything, and I'm sure some of you are like that too. Money. We were so weird with money back then. We thought we would have what little we had forever. We either didn't have any money and had to scrounge around to make ends meet, or we managed to fall into a pretty good job And we had a lot of money, which we blew on just about everything. I remember working for a department store. I was in the advertising department. And I remember hearing my friends talk, and they were all 10 years older than me. I was in my 20s and they were in their 30s. And they were talking about how when they didn't have any money, they could barely make ends meet. But now that they had money, they were all buyers and head of the departments. Now that they had money, they were only making ends meet. And I remember thinking at the time, how can that be? How can you not be able to live on what you're making and continue and what you're making and not be able to save or invest? I remember thinking that, well, then I got a decent job at 30 and I could barely make ends meet. So I think we all have something that we bought when we were 30 that we thought, this, looking back on it, think that was the craziest thing we ever saw. We wasted our money on it. Mine, what if put in the chat what yours was. What was the biggest thing you wasted your money on when you were 30? I'll tell you mine. Mine was a horse cart. And I know that sounds crazy and weird, but I had a horse, Casmera. She was an Arabian, and I bought her as a 2-year-old. So I was training her, so to speak, and as limited as I could. I had a book and thought I could do it. So I had read in the book that Arabians couldn't handle weight as much as they could pull weight. So I thought, great idea. I'll buy a cart and she could pull me in the cart. Well, I had someone come and help me do it, teach her how to do it. And he said, well, it takes 2 or 3 years to teach him how to pull a cart. Well, I didn't think it would. About the third or fourth time we were in the cart, it flipped on a turn. She took a turn too fast and it flipped. She panicked. I fell out. She panicked. And she just ran around the ring, knocking the cart back and forth. So it was used 3 times before the axle was broke and the wheel was totally destroyed. That was my big purchase, and it was like $400 back then. That was a lot of money for me. That was my biggest mistake. I should have taken that $40 and put in the savings or invested it. Of course, we didn't really invest back then, but at least put it in a savings account. We didn't know when we were 30 about compound interest. Yeah, Marie. Oh my goodness is right. It was ridiculous. We didn't know about compound interest back then. And I mean, not only compound interest for a savings account, but compound interest um, for the compound interest for a credit card. Nobody taught us about the use of credit cards, about paying them off every single month, about not getting in over your head. So a lot of us got into credit problems. I had one credit card and I managed to get into credit problems. I'm sounding like I was really a free spirit back then, aren't I? I wasn't. But nobody taught us that financial stuff. So we bought the fancy car when we were 30 and making some money. Or we had babies and we couldn't put money away when we were 30 and didn't know how to budget yet for a household. I think some of us were in that boat too. Relationships. Let's talk about relationships for a moment. And I mean not only romantic relationships, but friendships. When we were in our 30s, we were probably in some relationships that we might we maybe shouldn't have been, and we kept them. When we got older, we learned how to spin off those toxic relationships, be it a romantic partner or be it a girlfriend or guy friend, whichever. And it gave us sanity. The art of spinning off a friendship. I mean, I'm saying spinning off, but I don't mean just heck with you, go away. There's an art to saying goodbye to a friend, and it's difficult. I mean, I've had to say goodbye to friends, and I've had friends say goodbye to me that you don't even notice it. It could be no more phone calls, and you don't realize they're not calling you anymore, and you're not calling them. It just kind of ended. They move away. You change jobs. At some point, your friend group stops growing because your child might have grown, so you're no longer in the mom's group anymore. You might have changed jobs, or you might work remote. So now you're not in the work friend mode. But the good friends stick with you. You know, those good friends that age like fine wine or soft cheese, whichever kind of friend you have. Those are the ones you want to think of and take care of and treasure. But the ones that didn't really support you, and frankly, maybe you didn't support them, and they were toxic. Just weren't the right people. You just slowly say goodbye to. Family relationships. There's a friend. I mean, you can't choose your family. You know that. Oh, Marie says credit cards were her downfall too. It was easy to pay $10, etc., than buy the outfit for more money. Yeah, yeah. I hear you on that one, sister. I was in that boat too. I think we all were. We just didn't know what the consequences of it. Maybe we should have. Maybe we just were naive about it. But yeah, that was something new to us. Family relationships. They're you're stuck in them. They're not something you can normally. I mean, there are some really bad family relationships you have to walk away from, but most of them are not too bad and you're in them. But the thing with a family relationship, you may not be able to say goodbye to them, but you can set boundaries. You can set boundaries. You can determine what you'll subject yourself to and what you won't. And I think we learn that as we get older. We learn how to set up boundaries when we're in our 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. We should by then, don't you think? Your career is not your identity when you're midlife, but it is when you're in your 30s. It is. Think about it. When you go and introduce yourself, hi, I'm Ann Johnson. I'm an account executive at WMOV. Really? That is your job title. It's not your personality. But we did that in our 30s. We actually did that. And when we went into a meeting, think about this a minute. I don't think we do this anymore. But when we went into a meeting or a party or a group or a gathering of any kind, what's the first word out of your mouth when you talk to people? Well, except for hello, how are you? What do you do? They have their name tag on, but doesn't say what they do. Hi, Marie. What do you do? That would be what we say. What a boring question when you think about it. You should ask more interesting questions at parties. And we didn't when we were in our 30s. And some of us don't do it in our midlife. But what's your favorite thing to do? What do you love to do? What's your favorite snack? That would be my question. What's your favorite snack? Maybe it's mine too. Let me ask you a question. How many of you have the same career now that you did when you first started? Anyone? I didn't, and I don't. I started off as a marketing manager and then went into television sales, where I stayed for 20 years. Television sales, not selling the TV, but I sold air, advertising. And now I'm a writer. I write articles for different people. And it's what I originally wanted to do when I was in college, when I was in my early 20s. Just took me a while to get there, but I got there. Now, I want to ask you a question. And I want you to think about this a minute. Did you have it all figured out? Having said all that, did you have it all figured out when you were 30? Do you have it figured out now? Or don't you? Do you have it figured out? I did not have it figured out when I was in my 30s. I really didn't. Maybe I thought I did to a certain extent, but there's some scary moments when you're in that age because you've just been through the turbulent 20s and now you're supposed to be set and even keel. And I don't think I knew really what I was in for in my 30s and 40s. So I'm going to answer I didn't have a clue or have it figured out in my 30s. Now, do I have it figured out now? No. Maybe. I'm going with maybe on that one. I know I didn't give you the option to say maybe, but yes, I'm going with maybe because it's kind of goes a few different directions. I figured out me. I figured out me. I didn't know me when I was 30. I didn't even know me when I was 40. But I know me now. And I know my limitations and I know my strengths. So I know what I can handle and can't handle. I also know what I want to do and what I don't want to do. That's very clear to me. I don't want to I don't want a 9 to 5 job. I do want to write on my own time, which I do. I also have certain goals I want. There's certain places I want to go. That's where the unclear comes in, where the crystal gets a little cloudy. And that is, I don't know, I think I know how to get there, but I'm not sure. And I'm not even sure that's the destination I end up wanting. So I have to say maybe. I'm clear about some things. I've figured it out, but I haven't figured out everything. And I think most people think that way. Marie says, I thought I did, but life sure turned out differently. Still figuring it out, but learning to enjoy life. That's the most important. That's the most important. You may never figure it out. I may never figure out where I'm going. I may just end up there. You don't know. But enjoy life. Don't fear life. That's the biggest thing of all. And part of figuring out, I think part of not figuring out life is the fear. Not knowing, not understanding can bring a lot of fear into people. And I think once we do start with understanding ourselves and start understanding our challenges and our abilities, then it helps greatly in figuring out where we're going to go and how we're going to be. So Thank you, Marie, for coming. I appreciate it. And I'm going to get going now. But thank you. This has been nice. Thanks for the chat.